Hi folks, today we are going to be looking at the calculator once again. We're going to be looking at basically a tutorial of all of the things that I've shown you already how to do on the CAS. So when you turn it on, you get to this home page here that has a bunch of different options. We'll open up a new document for today. So a new document, we are pressing 1. That gives us our new document. For now, I'm going to add a calculator page, which is where we do all of our basic calculations. If I wanted to add another page, there's a couple of different ways to do that. I can either do Control-I, that adds another page. Let's add another graphs page. And if I want a separate problem, so it'll be completely independent, but still in the same file, I can go Doc 4, which is insert, and then 1, which is problem. Notice that that one is called 2.1, whereas the first two were 1.1 and 1.2. Let's go back to our first problem and our first page and do a couple of calculations. So it just works as a regular calculator does. 5 plus 5 equals 10. Good to see. Now if we want to get an approximate value, there's a couple of different ways of doing this. So for example, if I do 7 over 2, that leaves it as a fraction. However, if we want to get a decimal value, one way of doing this is by forcing the calculator to read a decimal. So if I just do 7 point, and I don't need anything after the decimal place, divide by 2, that gives me an answer of 3.5. Another way of doing this is 7 over 2, and then Control Enter. That gives me an approximate value. Okay? Another thing that we can do if we want to reuse a calculation that we've done before. So let's say I've got something reasonably complicated here. If I've got x, or 2 squared minus 7 plus 5 to the power of 3, enter. And for some reason, I realize I've done something wrong. I can go up, highlight that, and if I press enter again, it just copies and pastes what I had directly above into my current working problem. And again, I can just quickly change something up. Maybe I wanted my power to be a 4. So just erase the 3, put in a 4, and we're done. Another thing that we can do here is we can define various keywords or various terms, and we can do that using either the keyword define, which we type define x equals, let's say, 12. Now the term x, or the letter x, is a variable now. Whenever I use x, I get the number 12. Another way of doing this is going in through menu. And this menu is something that you're going to use a lot of. To find the define command, it's menu, 1, which is actions, and then 1 again, define. As you can see, it's just the same as typing in DEFINE on your calculator. It's define y equals 2. Now we can do operations with x and y. So x plus y, and notice it turns them bold. That's 14. 12 and 2 is 14. That sounds good to me. Just be careful though, if I try and do xy, notice that it's not bolded. That's because the calculator thinks that I'm using a variable called xy. What I have to do instead is x times y, enter. I need to tell the calculator that I am doing multiplication. A couple other things that we'll look at in the menu. Under the Algebra menu, there's a lot of things there that we can use. I'll just do a quick example of the ones that are most relevant to us here. Solve, I can put in any equation. So let's say a squared minus 4 equals 0. So just a basic quadratic. and I need to specify that I am solving for the variable a. Enter, and that gives me a equals 2 or negative 2. Next up, looking at factor. Pretty good as well, fairly straightforward. A squared, let's say minus 6a plus 8. It's just an expression here. Press enter. A minus 4, a minus 2. Really nice, and again, we can easily use this to graph or to find our intercepts. Next one that comes in handy is expand. So menu 3, 3, expand, let's say x, or again, I'm not using x just because I've already defined it, a plus 4 to the power of 3. Expand that out, perfect cube, works just fine. That's all that we're actually going to look at right now on the calculator page. I'm going to create a separate page where we look at the graphs, or a separate video for the graphs.